Imagine for a moment tomorrow morning. You wake up and realize a small part of your body is turning into stone. At first, you might think it's just a small injury. Maybe you bumped your arm against a desk or tripped on the stairs. Usually a bruise fades in a few days and your body goes back to normal, right? But this disease is different. The place you bumped doesn't heal. It starts to harden. It gets rock solid. Your muscles are turning into bone. Once a muscle turns into bone, it never goes back. Joints lock in place. You can't raise your arm. You can't turn your neck. Eventually, even the ribs used to breathe. Stop moving. It is a terrifying feeling. Like being trapped inside your own body while you are still alive. Today, let's talk about a rare disease where muscles turn to bone. FOP, also known as Stone Man Syndrome. This is not a fantasy movie script. This is a real story. A battle happening right now for people living around the world. First, let's talk about how rare this is. FOP, fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. It is estimated to affect only 1 in 2 million people. It is so incredibly rare that even doctors may only see one case in their entire career, or perhaps never at all. Because it is so rare, a terrible tragedy often occurs. That tragedy is misdiagnosis. Let me tell you a story about a young boy. Let's call him Haruto. Haruto was an energetic 5-year-old boy. But since he was born, he had one strange feature. His big toes on his feet were short, and they curved inward. This is actually the most important warning sign of FOP. But at the time, nobody realized it was the beginning of a nightmare. One day, Haruto fell hard while practicing riding his bike in the park. He hit his back badly, and a large lump formed. His mother thought, just put some ice on it, it will heal. But a week passed. 2 weeks passed, and the lump didn't go away instead. They call this a flare-up. The area got hot, red, and incredibly painful. It swelled up and started to feel hard like a rock. Worried, his parents took him to a big hospital. The doctor looked at the X-ray and was confused. There was a shadow on his back that shouldn't be there. The doctor said it might be a tumor. It could be something bad. Let's surgically remove it just to be safe. This was the worst possible thing to do for an FOP patient. The most terrifying characteristic of a FOP is that trauma triggers the disease. If you get injured, or if a surgeon cuts you with a scalpel, the body recognizes it as a wound. In a normal person, the body makes a scab to heal a wound. But in an FOP patient's body, the blueprint is rewritten. Instead of healing the wound, the body sends a command: make bone here. Haruto's surgery finished. The lump was removed. But a few weeks later, around the surgical scar, a much larger, much wider area of muscle turned into solid bone. It was as if they had woken a sleeping monster. The muscles across his entire back turned to bone. Haruto's spine became like a single thick rod of rock. He could no longer bend forward. He could no longer arch his back. Only then did the doctors realize, this is not just a tumor. This is FOP. Imagine the despair of his parents, a surgery. They agreed to, thinking it would help cause irreversible damage. They wanted to protect him. But instead, they accidentally hurt him. The guilt must have been unbearable. Why does this happen? The cause is a genetic mutation. It's a tiny mistake in just one gene called ACVR1. Just one little error in the code causes the human body's repair system to go haywire. What happens as this disease progresses? Medical books describe it as the formation of a second skeleton. Over your original skeleton, a new skeleton made of transformed muscle starts to grow over it. Like a birdcage trapping the body inside. It starts from the neck and back, then the shoulders, elbows, hips and knees, from top to bottom, from the center to the outside. The petrification progresses. Haruto was the same by the time he started elementary school. He couldn't raise his right arm. Changing clothes was a struggle. He could only watch his friends play ball sports because if a ball hit him, he was terrified new bone would grow. By the time he started junior high school, his hip joint started to lock. He couldn't sit down in class. He had to either stand up or lie down completely. He couldn't use Japanese-style squat toilets. He couldn't climb stairs. And perhaps the most terrifying part is the ossification of the jaw. When the muscles that move your jaw turn to bone, your mouth locks shut. You can't eat solid food. You can't get dental treatment. You have to sip liquid food or push food through gaps in your teeth if you vomit. There is a real danger of choking to death. Haruto gradually lost his ability to speak because his mouth wouldn't move inside his heart. He had so many words, so many emotions he wanted to express, but they were trapped inside. It was a profound loneliness, like becoming a living statue with your words turning to stone in your throat. But Haruto didn't give up even if his body couldn't move. He believed his mind was free, with his eyes, with his fingertips, using a computer. He kept connecting with the world he wrote on his blog. I am not the elephant man, I am the stone man. My body is hard, but my will is harder than anyone's. Patients with FOP are eventually forced to make a cruel decision. They have to choose which pose to freeze in. Modern medicine cannot stop the progression completely. Someday, the joints will stop moving forever. So the doctor asks, is it better to freeze while sitting or freeze while standing? How do you want to spend the rest of your life? If you choose to freeze in a sitting position, you can use a wheelchair. Moving around is easier, but you will never stand on your own feet again when you sleep in a bed. You have to lie down while remaining in a sitting pose that is torture. Conversely, if you choose to freeze in a standing position, sleeping is easier. But you can't fit in a wheelchair, you will spend more time looking at the ceiling. And it becomes difficult to look someone straight in the face. Teenagers or people in their 20s have to make this ultimate choice about how to fix their bodies for the rest of their lives. This is the reality of FOP. Currently, research for a cure is happening all over the world, using iPS cells. Scientists are starting to find candidates for new drugs. Research teams in Japan are achieving top-level results. Before, it was considered an incurable disease of despair. But now, a ray of hope is slowly appearing. Drugs to slow the progression. Drugs to stop the bone formation. Maybe someday, even a drug to dissolve the bone that has already formed. But it will take time and it takes huge amounts of money. It is a sad reality that, for rare diseases with few patients, it is hard for pharmaceutical companies to make a profit, so drug development tends to be slow. That is why, first of all, please know about it. Know that a disease called FOP exists. If you see someone in town whose body is stiff in an unnatural way, don't look at them with strange eyes. Use your imagination and realize they might be fighting this disease. And if your child or a baby near you has big toes that are short and curved inward, please remember this video. Early detection can prevent unnecessary surgeries and might slow down. The progression knowledge can be a shield to protect someone's life. Finally, I want to end by sharing one more thing Haruto wrote. My body doesn't move, but my mind travels the world every day. So please, everyone, cherish your own bodies. Don't forget what a wonderful magic it is just to be able to move. We take it for granted. Raising a hand, walking smiling. This disease teaches us that every single one of those actions is actually a miracle, balanced on a thin line. Be grateful for today that your muscles haven't turned to bone, and that they move according to your will. And let us hope for a day when all the stone men can break out of their stone shells and move freely again. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope this video helps. Take one step toward understanding rare diseases. Take care.